put this back together and be confident that that'll be fixed. And no more check engine lights. Right, Andrew?
That's right.
Oh, you
There's
savage.
a check engine light.
There it is. We're flashing right now, guys. Alright, guys. We got 233,506 miles on this here 2016 Chevy. It's a Chevy Diesel. Slightly loud chirpy chirpy. We have 47 miles until it's reduced to 55 miles an hour. It's locked us out of doing a whole bunch of other stuff. Right now we're limited to 65. Yeah, so I did not diagnose this truck. I had it diagnosed, and the auxiliary EGR cooler is bad on this. So we're gonna pop one into it. I'm gonna get it moved into the garage before it has a chance to get hot on me here. So what we're gonna end up doing is tearing out the valve. Now when you do this, they say that you have to pull the transmission or you have to lift the cab. I am not going to do either of those. I am going to figure this out, how to do it and get it out of there, even if it's a little bit of a struggle, without doing either of those two things. I do believe I already had this valve off once. Now last year this truck had a CP4 catastrophic failure. That was at 200,000 miles. So the truck is over that now. We have 30,000 miles on it since I did the CP4 to it. But we're gonna try and give this thing the old quarterback sneak, figure out what has to be done, and get it done. Haven't watched any videos, haven't done too much research on this, haven't looked up the procedure. I just kind of know those are the two things you're supposed to do to get the valve off. So yeah, this ought to be a little bit of an adventure, but something we can handle. Let's pop the hood on this bad girl. So here it is, guys. The LML Duramax. As we said before, 230,000 miles. The part we're going for, the EGR cooler bypass valve stuffed in there. You can almost see the little connector right there. So what I think has to happen is I'm going to take off all the intake tubing. I'm going to take off the EGR cooler, which is down there, which is already hot for some reason, which is fantastic. I'm going to take off the intake horn, all this top stuff, and I think I can free up the EGR, move it forward and sneak in there. But we'll see. So I'll take you along. So after looking at this, I just took off the intake tube here. I took off the box. We're going to take off the intake tube. We're going to get this tube out of the way. We're going to sneak down in there. I think I'm going to have to take off the turbo shield, and I might have to disconnect these heater core hoses. I don't know. But we're going to take off this intake, and then yeah, just get this right out of the way, and then get down in there and see what else we got. So these are my two favorite tools you'll see in every repair video I ever do. Get the safety tab out. And then pull. Come on. There it is. guys, this bracket, there's 2 bolts down there, and there's 2 bolts back here that go to this bracket, and then there's 2 bolts down here. This all comes out. Da-da-da-da. So the compressor has to get out in order to get this EGR out, and then I'll be able to get this out. I know there's a way to get this out. I've done it before. I got it in with this in there, but I'm struggling with it, and I'm not struggling today. So we're going to pull the compressor out, and then we're going to pull the EGR out. You just watched me take out the bypass tube for the EGR. I could have this stuff wrong, guys. I don't work on a ton of Duramaxes, but I'm faking my way until I make it here. So EGR tube's out, or EGR bypass is out, and then compressor is going to come out right now. I'm going to set the compressor over here so I don't have to evacuate the system. Then I'll get this pipe out, the horn will come out, and then somehow I'm going to move that stuff forward. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. So next step, get the belt off. Perfect. I don't know how it came out, guys. I got it out and I didn't kill anything. So let that rest over there. I can almost see what we're trying to get to. So we are to it. Ish. Twish. That's out of the way. Alright guys, so I just found that this line here is actually leaking, which is great because it's in my way. So we're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. I evacuated out the coolant out of the coolant reservoir, and now I'm going to get this hose out of my way, And as soon as that's out of the way, we'll proceed with trying to figure out how to get that out. And I still have not found the fuel temp sensor yet. Fuel rail temperature sensor. So I am going to take all of this out of the way to try and find it. Because it has a hard code. And I'm not so sure that I plugged it in last time I did work on this trip. But we'll see. So anyways, let's keep going. Guys, through the magic of camera editing, I was able to squeeze this in there, put the release tool in, pushed it in, and the hose came right out. Definitely leaking from this crimp, so we'll get a new one of those, no big deal. If you don't already have one, this little set from Lyle Tools, I've used the shit out of this thing. One. Okay. Guys, this is literally the best view that I can get you. So I'm on one of the bolts right now. I'm going to try and pop it with a pry bar. I need a different pry bar. Or a longer wrench. Let's get a longer wrench on it. Let's see if we can hit that with a pry bar. Oh yeah. Nailed it. Alright guys, it's broken free. Now I just gotta remove it. Guys, I don't know if you can see it, but there was a heat shield in there. I put a pry bar on it, pushed it out of the way. I'm gonna have to do the same thing on the other side. There's no chance that you guys will see that. Pry bar it is. Trying not to break that temp sensor back there. Oh yeah! Alright. Now we got one more. Where the fuck do we get that one? Guys, here's the valve as we're looking at it in the truck. Kind of looking down like this. The last bolt, so far we have this guy, this guy, this guy. We need that one. So I'm going to figure out how to get that out of there. I'll tell you guys how I did it, because there's just no angle that I can do to show you guys as I'm doing this. Okay guys, it's out. Back there, that triangle. That's what bolts up to this. There's the valve. So I just pulled all this out. It was as simple as disconnecting this line at that point. Just pulled the whole thing out. Made it tons easier for me. This bolt needed to come out in there. I didn't see another way around that. It wasn't coming out on its own. So I gotta order a fuel temp sensor because mine's plugged in and it seems to be probably dead, because that was the option, as it was unplugged. You can see in there that it's plugged in. So get a new one and catch back up tomorrow. Alright guys, I want to try and show you what we got going on here. This is the temperature sensor for the CP4, and it is down in there. I have managed to make a special tool right there, tip of my finger, you can see it, and I will show you that tool when we get it out. But there is no clearance in there for anything. I had to loosen up this pipe here that's moving, and it barely fit in the way it is. So I'm gonna take that out, and then I'll show you guys a little special tool. Hopefully I'm gonna take it out anyways, and then show you guys the tool and how to make one if you guys have to change your temp sensor, which don't probably go bad unless you fuck it up. Admit your faults. There's the sensor. Look at that. Looks a little crushed. The CP4 ate it. Well, the guy that installed it didn't install it correctly. You're welcome. So I have this itty bit of wire right here. This is all I have to try and connect it to. So I'm gonna get that spliced in, I hope, and then put this back together and be confident that that'll be fixed and no more check engine lights. Right, Andrew?
That's right.
Oh, you savage.
Check engine light.
There it is. We're flashing right now, guys. So up top view, just behind the compressor bracket, we got it reattached. I would have preferred to use non-insulated crimps, but I didn't have any. So that's back together. I'm gonna wrap it in Tessa tape and then put her back together. So hopefully it works now. And we got to figure out how to get the sensor back in there. But
It's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be a blast. Can't wait. Alright guys, so we told you that we made a special tool, and what that consisted of is a deep 19mm socket cut down, and to cut it I held the new sensor on the side of it. You can see how these ears are right at the top of it, so when it sits in there it's actually like not even quite flush. It's a little sticking out. It's a little proud. And this here, the nut that the bolt that I cut was a torque converter bolt that had a flange on the outside edge, and it's a real thin head, so that, and it's a grade 10, so it's torque converter. And then this here, we were able to slide it in there. It just barely fit. You cannot go any longer. We got it on there. I put a wrench on this part, cracked it loose, and then we fingered it out. That's what she said. And that's how we were able to make a tool. So this here is going to go in my toolbox forever now, and I honestly don't see any other way that could have come out of the CP4 without taking off the intake horn, or sorry, the intake manifold, potentially even the turbo, because there's a line that goes underneath it. And then where the turbo is, if you look down into the valley of the engine, there was one bolt holding a line that goes to the rubber feed tube on the CP4 itself, and I was able to loosen that up and get just a little bit of movement out of it. All in all, it snuck it out. That's when we found the broken wire. Once I found the broken wire, plans changed. I took this sensor out for no reason at all, and we kind of knew there was a problem because we ohm tested the both of them and they were spot on. So that problem's fixed, wiring's fixed, we're moving on. I got Andrew doing the back bolts right now because he's a little more flexible than I am right now, so let's check that out.
It feels comfortable.
So here it is, guys. Andrew's got the bolts in the rear almost tightened up. This is not an easy job, guys. Can't even really see what he's got going on. There are a few tools to do this job that if you don't own them, you're gonna own them by the time you're done. One of them is a set of swivel sockets, such as these. Mine are Snap-on, but you can use whatever brand you can. They have to be shallow, You're going to need 13, surprisingly enough, a 12. And the 15s you can pretty much get no matter what. I ended up using a little stubby 13. This is a regular on a ratchet that's the same size as 1/4 inch. Here it is up against a 1/4 inch. So same size, but it's a 3/8 drive. That was key. Ratcheting wrenches, the 10mm for the turbo bolts, and then that one there you probably could have got with a standard wrench. Ratcheting 13 for the back, a stubby 13 for the back, regular 13, and then a pry bar. Those are pretty standard tools. 10mm swivel head, you will need that. Honestly guys, I know some of you might be doing this in your driveway and not have access to a tool truck, but the snap-on ones, they just work way better. They don't fold in half. Another thing you're going to need is these Lyle, or any brand that's like it. Use the plastic ones. You need the second to largest one to get the heater lines off. They're probably leaking already, so you're going to need to replace those. If they're not leaking, when you take it off and you put it back on, it will be leaking. That's pretty much it. Mainly just the swivel sockets were the key, the most important part. 18mm extended ratchet for some of the bolts in the rear. That was key. This is a 13, but an 18 is what you would need. Yeah, and then this is doable, but it sucks. Right, Andrew?
Oh, it totally sucks.
Yeah, it's slow going, and guys, you can see his hand just trying to get shoved against the firewall. That actuator sticks out, and you don't have shit for room there. There's a heat shield that cups on the back of it, and that heat shield, you just push it away with a pry bar. I used my long pry bar and pushed on it and was able to gain access to the nuts in the rear. When we're all done, I'll grab it and pull it forward. It's just a tin, so it's not a big deal. But that's where we're at so far. Got it all back together. I didn't film anything because the biggest part was what we were doing back there, and then I gave you a bonus tip on the CP4 pump. When you're dumb shit, don't do it though. It's easier to just do it right. So we got the new part in there. It's nice and shiny. Did not pull the cab, did not drop a transmission, and honestly, if you drop a transmission, I don't know how the hell you're getting it out. So still has the warning message. We have the old strap on here. It says in progress, but doesn't seem to be doing much. We still have the emissions warning up there. So once it starts regenning, it might want to get up to temperature first. I don't know. So we'll see. Alright, so it's the next morning. Last night we tried clearing the codes on this thing. Here's a better view while it's all back together. Tried clearing the codes last night. They wouldn't clear. It has a hard code for cylinder 1 glow plug. That's going to be the right front cylinder head. Right front for you guys. Right side of the vehicle is sitting in it, so passenger side. To do these, they are incredibly easy. You guys ever need to do glow plugs? You pull the inner fender well, it's just a bunch of screws, and this whole inner thing comes right out, and then all of them are right there. So we're going to pull that. I'm going to throw a glow plug in it, and then we'll see if I can clear the code from there. Guys, so the next day, took it out in the morning, drove it to breakfast. Message is gone. Went through its regen. It's done a couple regens since. Problem's fixed. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching Penguin's Garage, and join us on the next one.